Okay ฉะนั้น we come back to sum up when we have problem psychologically say that let's see okay we react one of the 5 ways avoiding, accommodating, compromising, competing, collaborating. And avoiding, we already say that it means that you don't want to deal with the problem. You try to ignore the problem, try to forget the problem. So this is not the good way. This is not good. The problem over there. Accommodating, it means that you give up. You let the other side get whatever they want. You don't want to fight. You don't want to talk. You just give up. Let them do whatever they want to do. So this is not a good way to deal with problem too. Compromising means that you try to find a way that you give some, you get some, you lose some, both sides get something. But a lot of time you lose more. Compromising means that you lose more. You get a little bit. But to solve the problem, you will lose more. But compromising, sometimes it works that way to save the problem. Competing means that you don't want to keep anything. You just want to fight to death. And this is not a good way too, because the problem never solved when you're fighting. Both sides will lose by competing. The 5th way is the best. It means that collaborating means that both sides try to find win-win for both sides. Both sides get it. Both sides don't lose. But this way will take time. Collaborating will take time to solve the problem. And both sides need to accept the truth, the fact. And both sides will win. This is the best solution. But it takes the longest time. It makes you have to work hard for both sides. Every side have to work hard. But this is the best way. So this is the 5 ways that psychological is the foundation of how we are. And a lot of time we are what we are mean that they believe that you're born with that trait, mean that you're born to be avoiding or you're born to be accommodating. But today we believe that it's not just you're born with the trait, but you are raised up that way. Mean that you grew up in that situation all the time, your parents always do that. Or you're growing up in the culture that teach you to do that. So you will be that way most of your life. But now you know that if you are trained or born with a certain trait to do that all the time, it's not good. You need to learn how to do the best solution. Some of you might take some work, but some of you might take a lot of work because you are born in a certain different way and you are raised up your whole life in a different culture. In order to find the best solution, you might have to work hard to make it work. And I believe this is the best way, collaborating to solve the problem. And this is the best number 1 to use. And this is the second one, compromising is the second best. And the third one can be accommodating. It's not good now. It getting worse. And avoiding is bad. And competing is super bad, very, very bad. In order to solve the problem in your family, in your work, or at your church. So now the question is, which type you are. You are the avoiding kind, you are accommodating, you are compromising, you are competing, or you collaborating. Which type you are. Majority, when you face problem, which type you are. And that's a good question. I want you to come and think a little bit about yourself. Which type you are. It means that most of the time when you face problem, you will use that strategy. You will do that way. It's most of the time. Now think a little bit which type you are. You are competing, you are avoiding, you are cooperating, or which type most of the time. Or you still don't know which type you are.
I think, John, so mostly, in my life, I try to, the best and number 5, the collaborating. So, you try to be the both sides very good. That's I think so my life come from that way too. Mostly, since I'm 15 years old, I walk out from my family. So I stand by myself, that way. I think.
Okay. My question is not which one you think is the best. The question is who you are right now. Which type that you do it all the time. I know that the best is number 5, but in reality, are you number 5?
Maybe 50-50.
One of the 5, you are one of them. The one that you use most of the time when you have problem.
Yeah, and so mostly, I try to, in a church, I try to number 5 all the time. So I try to, be fair for both sides. Not only spam on this side or this side. It makes look feel better together. I think that way all the time I do that one. I don't know perfect or not perfect. So try better with nothing. Try this way. Even I work with an American pastor too. So sometimes, he want himself, the better. But I think so. Sometimes I hurt him, so I don't know. So you have to be fair. To have to both sides to work together. That's I think that the way. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, we know which way is the best. But a lot of time we don't do the best. We do what we do the way we are. Because you might say, I born that way. I am what I am. And that is the problem. Somebody say, my culture, I born that way. I was trained that way. I will do that way. And in every situation, you will find people who stick to a certain way every time. They don't want to change. Okay, you might need more time to think about yourself, who you are. Now they say that this is the 5 ways that they make as a picture. This is the competing, mean that they're fighting. And avoiding mean that take a step running away. Compromising mean that you lose more than you get. Accommodating mean that you give up. You let another side get whatever they want to solve the problem. Collaborating means that take time to work out the problem and find a way that both sides will win. It might be impossible, but like the Russian and the Ukraine now, you think that which way they are doing now? The problem with Russia and Ukraine, which way they're doing now? Right now, the Russian and the Ukraine, they use competing, mean that war, fighting. They're fighting, and both sides will lose. Both sides will die. Now, Russia and Ukraine use this competing. This is war. In the past, all the small country will do avoiding, mean that don't want to deal with problem, try to forget it for many years. And a lot of time, small country, when Russia threaten them, this accommodating mean that they keep in. Let Russia take whatever they want. We will lose, but at least we save our country, but we lose part of it all the time. In the past, they do that. Compromising also means that you give up a lot. Whatever Russian demand, you keep it. But now they use competing. We're going to fight the war. We're not going to keep in. We're not going to keep up. But the best way is have to find the collaborating. Both sides win. Both sides get something out of it. Now this is the real situation between Russia and Ukraine now. Now they use competing. They make war, they fight. Now how you take them from competing to collaborating? So it means it needs a lot of time, it needs a lot of work, and both sides need to sit down to talk. If one side wants to collaborating, another side doesn't want, will it work? No. Both sides need to want to work. One side want to work alone is not enough. It needs both sides. So in order for both sides to sit down and work, they need the third party to get involved to help. The third party that both sides will listen. Without the third one to get involved, these two sides will never sit down and work out the differences. I use the situation of Russia and Ukraine because we know very well. And they go around this fight way to solve the problem for many years in the past. Now they, at this point, competing, war, fighting. They might say that we used this before, we used this before, we used this before, but now we use this. But this is not the best way. How to bring them from here to here? Yeah, I don't want to talk about war or other people, but this example that we see of today. Why people use avoiding a lot? Well, they say that why talk about problem? Just ignore it. Forget about it. You heard this all the time in church. Just ignore it, just forget it. Don't talk about it. It's like a dead elephant in the room. How you cover the dead elephant? Can you sweep it under the rug? Cover the elephant with anything? You cannot do long. The dead elephant will smell bad, will cause a lot of more problem later on. You have to deal with it sometime, someday. Competing means that fight, war. Nobody wins in war. Every side lose. But why people fight? A lot of time people say that fight for the fact, fight for the principle. But they know that nobody going to win in any war. Every side lose in war. Every side die. Every side lost their loved one. But why we fight? A lot of time to save face. People cannot lose face. Now, accommodating, what that mean? Mean that you give up. You let other side take whatever they want. You don't want to fight. You don't want to deal with it. You let them get whatever they want. And this is not a good way too. Because the one who get everything will think that they can do it all the time and will come back and do it again. Because you don't deal with it. You just let them take whatever they want. This is the third way. Collaborating is the best way, mean that you have to sit down, find a way that both sides will win. Both sides will save face. Both sides will gain out of this problem. But it takes time, take work. Compromising means that you lose more, get a little bit back. You get a little bit, but you lose a lot. Sometimes it might be the best way. A lot of time when you are a small country, you cannot fight with the big country. You might have to compromise, mean that you lose more, get a little, save a lot, but lose some. So sometimes you have to do this. So I mean that the best thing is accommodating, I mean collaborating, but sometimes it doesn't work that way. In reality, sometimes you need to be compromising. It's second best, but sometimes you need to choose this. In real life, we have to do this a lot of time, compromising. It's not the best, but still better than nothing. So people will do either way. So this theory say that if you divide that 5-way into group, it will come out 2-way, assertive and cooperative. It means that you fight or you give up. The cooperative means that you find a way out to group, but this thing will take time. But the first one is quick, mean that either fight or give up. It solves the problem right away. I mean, you see the solution right away, mean that problem, war, or you split the church or the family. Either one go their own way. But when you try to solve by working, it's going to take time. And in some situation, you have to use either way. I don't mean that every time you can cooperate or every time you can give up. It depends on situation. Sometimes we need to do this. Sometimes we need to do that way. That's for the best of everyone. Now, sometimes we have to fight or go to war. It's not the best choice, but sometimes that's the only choice you have. For example, when your church needs to solve the problem of different belief or wrong teaching, and both sides stand firm on their belief, what can you do with that? Two different beliefs that fighting each other in your church. Can you compromise? very difficult. Can you cooperate? Very difficult. And a lot of time, the only way is have to split out when one side never give up their teaching or their believing. So they might have to fight. So I don't mean that you can solve the problem by cooperating or collaborating every time. In some situation, you still have to fight. Or some situation, you still have to compromise because that is the best option for that time. So each way is advantage or disadvantage, mean that it depends on situation. It depends on what you expect. And a lot of time, it's not one size fits all. You need to look at the problem very well and evaluate how much time you have, how much energy you have, how much resources you have, and what is the best option for that time. When I say at that time, it means that a few years from now, it might not be the best anymore. So have to change again. It might be best now. So everything all the time. When you deal with a problem, nothing the same. Today and next year, or many years from now, it might not be the same. So here we come back to more detail, try to explain how you choose each one and how it affects you and your family or your churches. Okay, I will come back to you a little bit for your reflection, and then we come back to more detail how about this model can help you and can make you understand yourself, your situation better too. So you understand the theory, the model that they present to you, or it's so confusing?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit confusing the terms of how to work it. อาจารย์ตัวอย่างที่ตามผมคิดนะเมื่อหลายๆครั้งที่โบสถ์นะที่รับใช้พระเจ้าด้วยร่วมกับทางสองโบสถ์นะบางครั้งผมจะกิฟต์อัพนะหลายๆครั้งนะจะไม่ทำซะดีกว่าแต่ว่าก็ยังมีใจยังมีอะไรขวางในใจนะอย่าหยุดนะแต่ก็พยายามแต่หลายๆครั้งก็จะเลิกเลยไม่ต้องทำแต่ก็พยายามนะก็คุยก็หันหน้าเข้าไปคุยอีกไปคุยกันให้นั่นแหละผมคิดว่าบทข้อที่5เมื่อกี้ว่าเวลาหลายครั้งจะทำให้ปรับความเข้าใจ make understand แล้วก็พยายามมาเรื่อยๆนะครับจนถึง18-19 ปีเลยนะก็พยายามเรื่อยๆนะ5 ปีแรกนะผมจะเลิกแล้ว ผมว่าผมไม่เอาแล้วไม่ว่าแต่ว่าก็ผมมาขอบคุณพระเจ้านะแต่นี้ก็ในชีวิตจริงๆของผมนะผมไม่ค่อยเข้าทางนี้มากเท่าไหร่นะแต่ว่าก็อยากกิฟต์อัพมากกว่าแต่มาดูในบทเรียนวันนี้นะว่าในตัวเราเป็นไงผมคิดว่าผมอาจจะอยู่ในช่วงเบอร์ 5แต่พยายามถอยแต่ก็ยังสู้ อาจารย์คิดไงครับผม
Yeah, at Poon say number 5 still the best way. Collaborating still the best solution for most situations, but it demands a lot of you. Mean that you need to be equipped to do that and want to do it. It's going to take a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of work. And when you don't have time, you don't have all the resources to support you, it's going to be almost impossible. Now you look at, come back to the example that I used Russia and Ukraine. Why they go to war? If they have other solution. The war should be the last resource that they choose. But why they choose war? Competing. The Russia say that we try everything, nothing works. Do you believe so? They try everything. Well, a lot of people say no, they don't try everything. They just think that this is the way they get the most. They don't want to talk. They don't want to deal with anything. They just go competing, go to war right away, because they know that they will get everything what they want. Now come back to a situation that our church, our family, our relationship, we always have choices when we choose competing or war if we have other option. You think personality get involved a lot? You know that somebody will fight all the time with whatever thing. Even little thing they will fight. And fight for no reason. And Paul even reminded the church that a leader should not be that kind of person, because he will cause problem all the time. But a lot of time we cannot get away from leader who fight all the time. And modern day people think that if you are the type of fighting, you can go very high, you can be very successful because you are the fighter. That society believe that way. But from the conflict solution perspective, fighting is not the best way in the long term. Okay, besides Poon now, you know your types now, what type you are.
A little bit, Jen. Thank you.
I am a little bit of everything, Ajahn.
But you yourself know that you prefer which one most of the time. We have preference. We always someone that love a certain way. It just, we never try to find out who we are. And sometimes your wives are closer to you can tell who you are better than you yourself. So it might be a good idea to ask someone close to you that what they think about you, which type you are. They might tell you better.
Ajahn, so let me tell you, I would compete I will defend my idea, but if I know that if people said, your idea is not a good idea, I'll say, okay, then I give up and I listen to you. That would be which one?
Every time you give up, I listen to you. Or
No, I am black and white. I would say if my idea is right, I want people to listen to me. And if I know that my idea is not good, people can convince me, then I will listen to other people.
so how many times that people convince you that your idea is not good?
Not a lot of people. Most of my ideas are good. I would say 90% of my ideas are good. Most of the time I'm really I am really thoughtful. So I'm before I speak up, I pretty much know what my idea.
Okay, if 90 and 10, you pity like a fighter.
Maybe I'm a fighter, but a good fighter there.
Yeah, the fully fighter maybe 100% or 99% never give up.
That's a Putin, huh?
But I always lose. I don't know why my life always loses. When I become to work, my coworker, when they teach me something, they say, "Oh, I don't want to teach you too much because if I tell you too much, you cannot remember." When I do something not right, they say, "Hey, what did you remember? I told you a long time already." I said, "Because that's not enough for me. Because you tell me one other thing, I have to do other thing. So many things the same time, I cannot come up with the same day." So because I work Monday to Friday, the 10 hours schedule, Saturday 8 hours, then come back home, have family situation. I try to go away from this, but that's why sometimes I have to leave the class early. Yeah, looking for another job. Hopefully they may change me some other schedule for me to fit my evening. I can enjoy more Zoom and then more study, Bible study.
So it means that
Yeah, right now just temporarily for.
whenever situation happen, you will just give up. You don't want to fight back.
No, I just whatever they say, I just tell them I come to work. I just make enough money to pay for my family, pay for rent. That's more enough for me. So I don't want to fight anything. I be everything okay, whatever you want. I follow your rule because I come to work. I'm an employee. So yeah, that's all I am.
Okay, so your type mainly maybe your avoidance mean that you don't want to deal with anything. You don't want any problem.
That's true. I don't want any problem. Whatever you said, okay, I follow you. If something I cannot follow you because it's not the same at all. I tell them I come to work as long as I can come to work. I can survive my class. I tell them every Saturday I might be late a little bit. I still have to leave my class early. I tell them already. They said they want to let me go. I said, yeah, but anyway, in front of you, I just pay for God. So accept,
So I think main thing of this today is try to understand ourselves, what type we are. And when I say what type we are, it's just majority, how we react to the problem. It might not be 100% correct, but majority, we will react that way.
Yeah.
Ajahn, so I have one thing. So if like we are God should come to His servant, right? This is my life. I try very hard for the fight, fight, and what makes me like get along. So both sides, who we are, or member, or who the partner you work with you. So I try to find a lot about about the servant. So about God, I don't want to separate something. Don't want something hurt some. I don't want to hurt somebody. What you understand and go to walk together and how to find a way. Make like both sides happy. I'm do that all the time. It's in my life right now. I think so 5 years already. So I'm thank God for everything. On the both American church and Lao church, mostly in the fight all the time. I try to again inside all the time. I try to make that so and make sure come come together and like I make happy. Before I try to make sure that, okay, end of the month, the week of the month, so I can do by everything by myself. Say no, I think I told myself, okay, we have to make a relationship together. We don't separate. The first week of the month, we have to go to joy service together, and then about communion together. Talk and sing and song. Together. I try to make the ones make. I don't know. It's good or bad, Ajahn. So.
Well, sometimes what you do a lot of time may be compromising, not collaborating.
Oh, okay.
Compromising means that you get some, but you lose a lot.
Oh, okay.
But sometimes
Yes,
that's the only option because you deal with someone have more power than you, and they won't give up. So you have to lose more and get a little bit. Collaborating will get to that point only when you have power to negotiate and you get back as much as you give up. But when you lose more and get a little bit, you are compromising. But sometimes that option you have. So the whole point also is, I think we need to be flexible. Don't use one size fit all, because a lot of time you need to learn how to use everything for the best solution at that moment. So even we know that which one is the best, but sometimes you cannot do that for the situation. You still have to use something else. So the whole point of this chapter is try to teach us that there are so many models to solve the problem according to the situation and for the best for that time. Fighting is not always bad, but sometimes you need to fight some situation.
Ajahn, I think for me, compromising.
Yeah, most of the time you are compromising. Yeah, I think in our Thai-Lao culture, we are trained to be compromiser. We use that a lot.
Yeah.
But you know that when we use compromising all the time, mean that we lose more than we get. But because we're small, we try to survive, and that we give up compromising all the time.
Ajahn, sometimes it's hard because being Christian, you compromise. It's very hard because God said, love your enemy.
Yes.
ผมมีคำหนึ่งว่าพระคัมภีร์สอนเราว่าให้คนอื่นดีกว่าตนเองนะครับคิดอย่างนี้คนเอเชียเราคิดอย่างนี้ครับอาจารย์ผมก็เลยพอเวลาใช้ก็แล้วเขาชนะดีกว่าเราทำแล้วพระเจ้าใช้โอเคครับอาจารย์ผมไปก่อนครับเจอกันอาทิตย์หน้าครับผม
Okay,ครับ see you next week.
Thank you.
Yep. So as I say that sometimes we know what is the best, but the situation makes us that we cannot use that. We still have to use a different way. And yes, as Nathan said, that sometimes because of our faith and belief, we cannot do a certain way. We have to do the right way. When you have to stand on your faith or what you believe, you cannot compromise sometimes. That's not an option.
John, can I tell you? Can I share with some of you guys?
Yes.
We're not supposed to say it, but we have to say it. Let's put that way. You know that James, he started a church and they boot him out. And that church, I have a really good connection with Mother Church people. And I go see, I clean for the church. And a lot of time I see the old members of James, the old James former church. And one time I was talking to him, he said, you know what, we move on. But in my mind, I said, you the one that caused the problem, you move on. That it makes sense because, for example, if I kick you after I hit you, I run away. And to me, I have nothing because after I hit you, I go away. So it doesn't hurt me. So if if the one that get hurt, that he tried to forget, but it's tough, So I'm in my mind, I'm kind of like, he might be right, but us being human being, it's very hard to forgive. What do you think about that?
Well, I don't understand the situation much. So you talk about James.
James and Pastor David Young. James started the church, and he technically hired David Young to be pastor. After a few years, and David Young and few members and put on a Chinese guy, they kind of underneath and kind of they put him out. They find all the blames, everything to put him out. And at the end, at first, the American people they believe 100% whatever that David Young said, and afterward they kind of okay. I think Jim was right, So now everything okay, but James move on. But
that's hard for him.
It's hard for him because sometimes James have to go there because like I said, we have very good American on Mother Church, American church. We have very good friend.
Good
Good relationship, and that American friend have a lot of respect for James, and sometimes he will invite James to go there and do something, and James he has to go just because for the respect of that good friend. But I see when he goes there, I see his face, it hurts him a lot. He cannot forget what they done to him. And he started the church and people just kick him out like that,
So you share this because you say that the way he deal with might not be the best. If you were him, what will you do?
I don't know. I don't know. Like I said, like, because we said you have to fight. But if Jim, he fought a little bit, but he didn't go all the way. I would say that way.
He cares about the member.
He cares about the members and the reputation of Christianity. We're supposed to be the light of the world. So that I think that's why he gave up just for that.
Just let him have it.
Yeah, he's just let them have it.
Well, I think that might be the best solution for the time being. So each situation is different though. Sometimes you need to fight, sometimes you need to compromise. you need to collaborating. Sometimes you just have to avoid. So by itself, it might look bad, but for the situation, it might be the only or the best option for the situation. So we cannot say that everything is bad. Sometimes you have to fight because that is the only option or the best option for that situation. But sometimes it might not be the best. When I say the best, you have to look at everything, not just about yourself, the core, what they call other people too. And I think James think about other people too.
That is very good.
Yeah.
Very good.
Very good.
You feel taste the green tea?
No, I feel I taste the nuts.
You want more? I have more. Let me bring you one.
Oh, that is
Yeah, I need some too. I want some tea too.
Oh, they can eat us. Sorry. Sorry. I did not know I have it on milk. Sorry, Ajahn.
It's
My
okay.
computer battery is dead, so I have to use the phone.
Oh.
And I did not realize I have it on milk all the time. I didn't. Sorry.
See, Ajahn, yeah, and our good friend, he said, I want to see two churches
In the future.
reconcile. But I told him, I said, I think at some point we will, but for right now, I think it will be hard. It will be hard, but maybe once James sees, when James sees done, and Pastor David's done with the ministry, I think the next generation they can work together. But right now, I don't think it will happen. That's what I told him.
Yeah. Sometimes we don't understand, we don't know too, but there's time for everything. You're right. And we don't know, we don't understand everything too. We just learn how to deal with the situation the best we can for the time being. Yeah, things will change in the future, yes. But I think we just have to be flexible and accept what will happen.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, conflict or differences is not easy to deal with, but the whole thing is we try to learn to understand it and understand ourselves too, that we are part of the problem or part of the solution. So I think we have a choice. We can be part of the solution or part of the problem. Somebody say, I have no, I just happen to be that way at that time. But I believe that we can change the situation if we want to. Yeah, sometimes we need to fight. Sometimes we need to compromise. Sometimes we need to ignore it. And sometimes we need to collaborating it. So it depends on situation. And you need to calculate everything, what you will get back and what you will lose. And also think about other people around you too. A lot of time we just think about ourselves and forget else that will pay the price too. So in every war, there is a loss that we call something happened. Even you win the war, both sides will lose. Lost a lot of life, a lot of things too. So pray well and let God help you in every situation. God needs to give us the wisdom to decide. And as a Christian, I believe that to honor God is still the most important thing. Ask yourself this thing, honor God or not, and how many people are going to suffer, even if you win. So it might not worth it. Okay, you have any final thought or comment or question for the class today? You can go on and read more detail, but the main thing about this chapter is about who we are and how we deal with problems most of the time. I just want you to know that it doesn't matter what type you are. You still can be flexible and learn a different way too. Not one size fits all, and not one way will solve all the problems every time. Be flexible and try to do something else for the best of the situation. Do you have anything else for today? So let's see what else we have in. Another last interesting thing about when man and woman try to solve the conflict or the differences, they found out that man and woman use different ways. They say that most competing used by men, 55% of the time is men will use this way, mean that fighting. But 40% of women will fight. Avoiding is the same thing, about half and half men and half women will avoid problems. Don't want to deal with them. Accommodating is the same number, about half and half men and women will do that. And collaborating, say the same number too, about 58 men and women. And now the big difference is compromising. Most women will use compromising, but about 41% of men will compromise. Now you see that this two number is very different between men and women. Men will fight, but women will compromise. Very few women will fight, most men will fight. You see that this is the two number of men and women, different way to deal with conflict or problem. You can see the difference clearly here, but the same, but competing and compromising are two big difference. So the rest is this is some good idea to think about why you choose the way you choose, or why you deal with the problem the way you are. It depends on, first, how much you value or care about people. If you don't care much about other people, you will fight. If you care about a lot of other people, you will use different way, more compromising or relating. But if you don't care about other people, you will fight most of the time. And the second question to ask yourself is, do you understand the consequence? Whatever way you choose to deal with the problem, it will have a consequence on yourself, your family, and everyone around you. they suffer, they pay the price too, not just you. So this is the second thing you need to think about, the consequence of your decision. Now, the third thing that I want you to think about when you decide to use either way, think about the time, the energy, the resources that you have to deal with that decision. A lot of time you think about fighting, but you don't have the energy, you don't have the resource to continue. Or you want to do the negotiation, but you don't have all the resources to do that. So this is the sum up. In order to do all these 5 things, you need to think about a lot of questions that before you decide to do it. And this is some example that they use conflict resolution to solve the problem. For example, you deal with angry customer. What is the best strategy? What is the best way? Not everyone can be customer service. They need someone to listen, to calm down. And someone who don't want to waste, to argue with little things. If you love to fight, you will argue with all little things that is not good for you. And you need to try to compromise as a customer service. When you find a common ground somewhere, just take it. And when you have the customer that want to work with you, work with him. Don't try to fight him. And if you need to fight, you need to find the right reason to do that. It have to be clear that another side completely wrong. So this is some guideline for you. And this is some idea about how to use. This theory will have a way how to find out about yourself. And this is the questionnaire. If you want to find about yourself, if you do this questionnaire, it can help you find out about yourself, that which types of person you are. They just have 10 questions here. And after you, this is some example though, not all the 10 questions. I think I have more down here. It's supposed to be 30 of them. So this is the real 30 questions that if you choose in different situations and you give yourself the point, and the point will tell that what kind of you are the competing type or not, you are the cooperating types or not, or you are the compromising, you are avoiding, or you are the accommodating type. It depends on the score you make by respond to all the questions. So you can try out yourself and see that how you respond to all these questions. And it's very easy. Question 1, you just say you choose A or you choose B. Most of the time, when you face a situation, you're going to be A or B until the end of number 30. Okay, you can try this if you have time later on about the questionnaire. And this is the same question that come out in a different way. And nothing is right or wrong though. It just tell about yourself. It made more situation how to respond to a situation. And it doesn't mean that this one is right, this one is wrong. It's just about yourself. That's all. Okay, I will stop this and come back. And we can talk more about it. I don't know when they share the screen. Did you see the screen?
No,
No,
but
I did not.
I was able to follow you, Ajahn.
Okay, because I don't know, because sometimes the internet broke down. So, but I send you the note. You can look at the note, and if next time we can cover them. Because lately I think the internet keep breaking down from time to time. Do you have any more questions before we're done for today?
No question, Ajahn. Thank you.
Okay, that's good. So anything that we can pray with you, that I can pray with you?
I need help for pray for my schedule, because this one I kind of very struggle for my time. Yeah,
Okay,
really need help for my schedule.
son. Okay, pray for son to help get deal so he can do more things. Okay, let's pray. Loving God, we thank you that today we can spend time together to learn about many things. Help us that we can use all this knowledge for your kingdom and to help people and to make ourselves better servant of you. We lift up son before you, give him a better schedule so we have more time for study and to serve you and for his family and for himself. Give him all the joy, the peace of mind, and help the rest of students, whatever they need to be with them, bless them until we come back again next week. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Okay.